Aloha and welcome. Today, I'm excited to walk you through some updates I've been working on. We're diving into how I've been integrating artificial intelligence in Unity, creating smarter tools that help us become better and faster developers. Right now, I've got a fresh Unity project open. If we head over to Tools and Indie, you'll see a bunch of windows I've set up. There's the OpenAI integration, one-click translations, one-click documentation, Auto UI, and more. We'll cover Auto UI in another video, but today we're focusing on something that's really exciting. An integration that will soon become a new asset. Exploring OpenAI integration in Unity. Here, you can see the different API endpoints we've implemented so far. We've got the vanilla text and image input for the Chat API, the Assistance API, the Vector Store API, and the File API. Starting with the Chat API, it's exactly what you'd expect. You provide it with a question or query, and it gives you a result. The image input lets you feed an image into the API. For example, you copy the image path, paste it into the designated field, and add a prompt like, "What is in this image?" The Chat API then describes the image. I've been experimenting with this by taking screenshots of Unity editor windows and feeding them into the context for the assistant to analyze and improve upon. In one case, the assistant identified the image as containing a specific assistant named Dicky, using the File and Vector Store API. Now, here's where it gets cool. I've recently updated the OpenAI integration to work with assistants. The File API, Vector Store API, and Assistance API all work together seamlessly. You can upload files with the File API. Once uploaded, you can add those files to a vector store, which can then be used by an assistant. One-click documentation feature. One of the standout features I've been working on is the one-click documentation. It generates documentation for your scripts with just a click. Here's how it looks. The documentation is generated in an HTML format, but it's also available in other formats like Markdown and plain text. I've uploaded this documentation using the File API, added it to a vector store, and then provided that vector store to the assistant. Now, the assistant can use the documentation as context to answer questions and help support your development. Assistant integration and demonstration. Let's give this a try. Right now, I don't have an assistant loaded, so let's find one. By clicking the button to list all assistants, we can retrieve a list of the available assistants. Or once you've created an assistant, it'll show up here. You can grab the assistant's ID, enter it into the field, and click Get Assistant to cache it. The assistant will then provide all its details, including the name, description, instructions, and any tools it has. For instance, this assistant has a tool called File Search, which allows it to query the vector store we gave it. Now, let's ask the assistant something. I'll go with, "Give me an overview of one-click documentation." By clicking Send to Assistant, it'll create a thread, run the query, and pull the results. Once done, it pastes the response, which leverages the context from the vector store to provide an accurate answer. In this case, the assistant correctly describes the one-click documentation feature as part of the IndiDev suite, designed to streamline the process of generating documentation for C# scripts within Unity. And that's the overview of the tools I've developed so far. There's a lot more to come, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching.